would love to welcome you to today's training. We are going to tackle something that I think is affecting a lot of people, and it's probably something that not a ton of people are actually talking about. So we're going to kind of just pull the band-aid off and address it today because we want everybody to win. And I'm going to be honest, winning has looked a little bit different this year. I know in the past, ourselves, many clients, many of our colleagues have just like absolutely crushed it with getting sales online. But this year has just felt a little bit different. We know that buyers are having different thoughts. They're a little bit nervous about investing. And it's not only about investing in themselves, they're also worried about investing in other people and in other processes. Like, will this thing actually work? And so what we've seen across the board is a little bit of change in the amount of people who are saying yes to your offer. Have you guys been getting more no thank yous, or it's too expensive, or not right now, or whatever of the millions of other reasons that people say no to your offer when you're making them? Is that what you guys have been seeing? And so what we're going to actually tackle today is how the heck to overcome the financial objections when, especially in this market, that is what everybody is going to. Whether it's true or whether or not it's like a mental thing, right? It's one of those mindset things. That is what's happening. We're seeing it a lot. And I can see that there's a lot of people going, oh yeah, we're getting those financial objections. And so here's the reality. We can either present your offer, get a financial objection, and then do the work to overcome it, in which in that case we have an amazing framework that we use that works really well. And the idea of that is that we actually remove the finances from the offer straight up to be like, hold on, is this even a thing that you think is going to work for you? And once they decide yes it is, then we can work through the financial piece. But here's the thing, would you rather make the offer, get the financial objection, and then have to go through all that to overcome it? Or would you rather pre-sell them in the way that you show up, the way that you serve, and most importantly, the way that you articulate your offer, so that when you make the offer, it's already a no-brainer that they're like, okay, absolutely, I 100% need this, and I can see myself doing the work, and I'm gonna say, okay? So that's actually what we're gonna cover today. So I know a lot of you are like, okay, I wanna overcome objections, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? Yes, the framework we teach works. It's really easy to overcome them, but I don't wanna do that work, and I don't think you guys do either. So what we're gonna focus on actually is how to articulate your offer in a way that is going to get that person to say yes, so that you can avoid all of that work. So if you guys have never seen this is actually at GroupTrack, the exact way that we help people position and create their offers. And if you already have an offer, which most of you I'm assuming do, this is just a simple way to take that information and to present it in a way where people are going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I will tell you, a lot of people are like, oh, Jenna, I already have my offer. I already know how to present it and all the things. But I will say this, I have done this workshop with people who are 6-figure earners, 7-figure earners. We've even done this with 8-figure earners who have been like, oh, okay, yeah, I had an offer and I know how to talk about this, but this is like a completely different way to really present it, again, so people say yes. So before we actually get into building this, what I want to start with is a little bit of a story to help me demonstrate exactly what your prospects are feeling. Because the likelihood is if you guys have gone through a scenario like this before as well. So last year, I wanted to do a big strategy. It was our partner strategy that we wanted to build out. And there was this coach, Sean, and he was like, okay, Jenna, I have the exact plan that I can help you implement. And it's going to be $20,000 for 10 hours of working with me. And I'm like, I don't have $20,000 sitting around. And to just do that for only 10 hours of time, I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And so I had to go through this process myself of, first of all, being like, okay, is his plan one that I actually believe will get me the results, right? Like, do I believe that he knows what he's doing? He's got a plan, he's broken it down. And so what he did is he showed me exactly what the components would be and what we would need to do together in that time. And then the biggest thing was, okay, I believe this is the plan. The biggest question that then stood out to me was like, okay, Jenna, are you able to do the work required to get the results for that price? Okay. So what that means is, just to like break it down, is I only have 10 hours with Sean. Am I competent, smart enough? Do I have the bandwidth? Am I going to be able to get it together so that I can actually do what he tells me is necessary to get the result for that price so that I actually get a return on my money. So I went through that process. I knew he had the plan. It was then about me, right? And so that's something I want you guys to really think about is it's not just about, do I believe in the guru or the coach or the thing? It's, am I good enough? Do I have the time and all the things, right? And so once Sean was able to show me, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it together over these 10 hours, then I believed I was capable. And so then I gave him the $20,000. And the great part about it is it turned into $200,000 was the return on that, right? But this is something that every time somebody presents you with an offer, you likely go through and maybe don't even realize, right? We always make it about the coach and the service provider, like, oh, is their plan right? Is it good enough? But ultimately, what it really comes down to, and a lot of times we just overlook, it's really about us. Do I have the belief that I can do the thing? And so if we believe that is true, then what we actually have to do is say, okay, how do I get my prospects to not only believe that I have the plan that's going to work, but how do I get them to believe that they are capable and competent to do the work required? And that is where architecting your offer is going to come into play. And so this is exactly what it is and how we teach. And so I'm going to walk you guys through what the different components are. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you, we created this AI assistant. It's our GPT. And basically we took our entire framework, we built it in this GPT, so it basically builds it for you within like 30 seconds. But I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what to do and how to build this now. Okay, so I want you guys to listen to how I articulate this, okay? Because this is exactly how I want you to articulate your offer to your prospects, okay? So we're gonna start over here with our house, okay? Now, I want you guys to think about the roof. The roof is actually going to be the result that you help people achieve. In other words, it's the result that your clients want to achieve, right? And so for me, for example, is I help clients get more clients from social media. That's what I help people do, okay? And so we want to keep it very simple. I always talk about talking more. You know, he had a program that he was releasing and it was for people that wanted to get to 10K. And he thought, okay, well, what do people need to get to 10K? They need clients. So what did he name the program? Clients. Like, we want to keep it very succinct, very focused, and very like, oh, duh. If I want to get clients, that is the result that I'm going to put up here. So the roof is going to represent the result that your prospects want and that you can help them actually achieve. Then what we have here is the pillars. And the pillars are going to be what your client must do in order to hold up the weight of that roof. So I'll give you my example. If I'm going to help you get clients from social media, there are 4 things that I need you to do. I need you to, number 1, attract leads. Number 2, I need you to nurture leads. Number 3, I need you to make offers and convert them. And number 4, I'd like you to keep them buying over and over and over, right? And I know if you do these 4 things and you are holding up this weight of the roof, you will get the result of getting clients. So it's what to do. And it must be built on a solid foundation. And my foundation is, funny enough, having an architected offer. Because the reality is you could attract leads, nurture, try to convert and keep. But if your offer is poop, guess what? All of this is like the floor is lava, right? So the house falls, it crumbles basically. So this is literally how you guys articulate it. And so what is so amazing about this is if I'm on a webinar or a coaching call or a free training just like this, I can say, hey, if you want this result, you've got to do these things. And then what we can do is through different processes, for example, in our masterclass, we're actually having people assess themselves against this. We can do it in a form, a questionnaire. We could do it any sort of way, but the goal is to help your prospect realize, oh my gosh, the reason I'm not getting the results that I want is because 1 or 2 of these pillars or areas that I know I must master are not at 100%. In other words, there's gaps between the roof and where the pillar ends, right? So I'll give you a great example. So if you're like, okay, yeah, Jenna, I want clients from social media, we're going to audit what you're doing. And the first thing I'm going to say is, okay, what is your lead gen strategy? Do you have leads coming in? How are you tracking them? Where are they going? Are you going into other people's audiences? Are you doing ads? Like, what is the lead gen? And do you have consistent clients coming in? And, usually we're like, okay, we got some lead gen going on, right? Then I'm going to say, okay, great. What are you doing to nurture and stand out and support? Usually people do pretty good here. And then typically when I'm like, okay, let's look at your conversion strategy. Are you making offers? Are you doing masterclass? Are you following up? Are you doing these things? Ooh, all of a sudden we've got pillars that are starting to get short. And then we look at retention and so forth. So typically when I spend an hour with people and I do a masterclass and we're assessing yourself against those pillars, at the end of it, I'm like, hey guys, quick question. Where's your roof? And if I were to ask you guys right now, after just kind of hearing me talk about it for 30 seconds, where is your roof right now? Is it on the floor? Is it supported fully? Is it, who knows? Because the reality is when you start doing the work to realize and have them realize, oh my gosh, yeah, no, you know what? This is why I'm not getting results is I don't have these things in place. Then when you go to make your offer, then you can say with such ease, oh, easy, right? This is how I help you raise the roof. So if I just am like, oh my gosh, join my program. It's called Work My Leads. And in this program, you're going to do da 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 da. And I'd be like, okay, girl, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. I have all these other things. So if initially I tell you, if you want to get, clients from social media, you have to sail across the entire world and it's all real difficult. You're going to be like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that because I won't be successful in that. But if I'm like, okay, so first thing we're going to focus on is pillar 1, which is attracting the right leads. And the first thing we're going to do is this cinder block. So when you start articulating your offer, the goal here is to be like, first we're going to do this exercise, then this brick is going to get laid on, then this brick, and then this brick. So for me, if we're saying, okay, I'm going to help you attract leads, I'm going to be like, first we're going to dial in your social profile and make sure it looks good so that it's an actual funnel. Then we're going to go and build out your social lead list and make sure your friends and your followers list are full of the right people so the right people see your content. Then we're going to go into other people's audiences with their permission, get those warm leads and bring them into your ecosystem. Do you guys see how it just builds and builds? And it's so easy for me to articulate what we do together, right? And so the goal is, as you're articulating your offer this way, people are like, oh, I could do that, right? And they start to have these ahas like, yeah, no, I totally could do that, okay? And so again, this is literally the cornerstone of everything in my entire business. Once you've architected your offer with the result, which is the roof, the pillars, which is the what to do, the foundation, which is what it rests on, it's the thing that makes you different, and your cinder blocks or bricks, which are the things that are going to help your client actually get those roofs up. The beautiful thing is once this is built, it is used for everything in your business. So I'll explain what that means. So for example, I have, let's say this is our entire coaching program. Like this is what we sell. Well, here's what's really cool. When I go to build my course module, guess what? It's like pillar 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, right? So it's so easy for me to keep my own self really, really organized. The second thing is all of this can be used for your exact masterclass content. So if you're doing a sales webinar, remember, I told you earlier, my sales webinar is literally me having you assess yourself in these key areas. So at the end of it, you know if your roof is on the floor and if you actually need help. If you're like, oh no, it's all good. I am at 100%. I'm killing it. I don't need actual help. So the beautiful thing is you can do sales opportunities like this. So masterclass, uncover the needs, and then be like, and this is what it looks like inside my program as we help you. The other thing we talked about is an assessment, whether we're doing a live assessment on a call or you're basically taking this entire framework and putting it in a Google form or some sort of automation like High Level where people are assessing themselves. This is really huge too because then they can realize, oh my gosh, I'm missing this brick in my house. No wonder it's drafty in here. The other thing I talked about course modules. This is the most amazing part is this is my entire social media content. These are the exercises and the things that I teach all the time. Why not take these and turn them into training or content opportunities. So look, you guys, my foundation is an architected offer. What am I training on today? My architected offer, right? You see how easy this is. I don't have to wonder what content to do. It's literally written right here for me, okay? So we can use that for our content, our training, live events. You can use it for free events, paid events, all sorts of different things, right? And last but not least, low ticket offers. So as I mentioned earlier, I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to teach you how to do everything in this call. But if you want to grab our entire course plus our GPT that literally builds this entire thing for you, we drop the link in there for you. So you can take all of the components of your architected offer and you can make micro offers, which by the way, get a lot more yeses in this market than saying, hey, do you want to buy my entire house? So the beautiful thing as well about having this architected offer, guys, is you know what? I could just invite you in the front door. And that's literally what I'm doing right now. I invited you into my foundation. And then if you're like, oh, I kind of like the way that she teaches and I did this one piece and holy smokes, it changed my life. Then maybe I'll go into the next room of her house and then maybe the next. And then maybe one day I might actually want to buy the house. So this is going to allow you to pre-sell your clients in a way that allows them to say, you know what, I can do the work required to get the result for that price because they can see this is what it's going to take. And can I do it or can I not? But what I'd like to actually do with you guys today is we're actually going to architect your offer using our GPT right now, just to show you how incredibly ridiculous this easy strategy is and how we can incredibly articulate this in a way that people are going to understand your offer and say yes. If there's somebody here who wants me to just go ahead and we'll do a very basic version of it, I'll show you how easy this GPT is to use. So when you come into our GPT, you're going to see this is so easy. You're just going to click on the first thing that says roof. What is the number one result that you want your clients to achieve? Or in other words, what do your clients want to achieve that you can actually help them get?
Okay, so what they want to achieve is the ability to find time to finally take care of themselves so that they are feeling good in their mind and their body.
All right, so I'm going to just type that in. And what you guys are going to notice is sometimes the GPT is like, amazing, that's super helpful, or they might even ask a couple more questions, right? So you're going to see, it says, okay, you mentioned the ability to take time to care for yourselves, blah, blah, blah. Let's refine that, but compelling roof result. Here are a couple options to consider. So can create consistent time for themselves so they can feel healthy, balanced, energized, and mind body. Reclaim their time, prioritize their well-being without guilt, right? So you can see there's a number of different options. Yeah. So Marie, just kind of look at those as we're going. I would also like to say, please make this a bit shorter so that it's super clear quickly. And then it's also asking who's your ideal client, right? So it wants to know, is it busy moms, corporate women, entrepreneurs, and so forth? So what would that be for you?
That'd be corporate women.
Okay, perfect.
And I think reclaim the time and prioritizing without feeling guilt is a big piece of it.
Okay. So let's see what it likes here. Okay. Help corporate women make time for themselves so they can feel healthy, balanced, and in control. Empower corporate women to prioritize well-being without guilt. Which one did you say, or was it one up above?
The second one seems to be more of what my clients are fighting, the feeling guilt.
Okay. I'm like, am I your target market? Am I the problem?
Hey, we can work, Jenna.
I mean, you're like, let me make you an offer, girl. Let me make you an offer. Okay. I love it. So empower corporate women to prioritize their well-being without guilt or burnout. Obsessed, right? So what I'm actually going to do, and inside of our mini course, we actually give you this template. So I'm going to, while we're here, I'm just going to we're going to fill it out for Marie, which is going to be really cool. So I'm going to say Marie, and we're going to copy this. So we're going to just build your entire thing right now for you. All right. And if you guys want, while we're all talking, you guys can kind of drop what you think your roof would be in the chat as well. So we're just going to fill this in for Miss Marie, Empower Corporate Women. Okay, Marie, if you're on a webinar and you're like, okay, you guys, you're all really amazing corporate women and you're so busy and you are managing life and your family. And I mean, like, is this a therapy session for Jenna? I think so. And you're like, but here's the thing, you guys, if you want to be able to prioritize your well-being without feeling guilty, I'm just going to tell you the truth. There are 3 or 4 things that you need to master in order for that to happen. Because the reality is you might be really good at this, but then this ball drops. And you might be really good at this, but then this one. So this is the answer. If we were going to say these are the 3 or 4 things that you must do in order to prioritize your well-being without being guilty, what would those things be?
First one would be to treat yourself with compassion, self-compassion.
Okay. Okay. What would be next?
The next would be learning to say no.
Okay. And then what's next?
Next would be calendaring the time, making a date with yourself.
Okay. Any others?
And the other would be protecting that time. So it's kind of part of saying no, but it's beyond that.
Okay, so let's see what our lovely GPT with Jenna's brain built in says. Okay, so pillars, what needs to happen? Cultivate self-compassion, master the power of no, calendar with an intention, and protect your priorities. What do you think about those?
Those are good.
They're really good. I was thinking like these are, see how it just like it tightens it up really nicely for people. And of course, go ahead and screenshot that, Marie, if you want, as we're going, right?
Okay.
So this is the thing, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to cultivate compassion, right? So this is making it so incredibly easy so that when Marie is in front of people going forward and she's doing a masterclass or an event just like this, she's going to say, hey, ladies, here is the reality. You can try all the books, you can do all the self-help, you can do all the spa dates, you can do all the things, but the reality is if you're not consistent with it, it's not going to work. So here is the framework that does, right? First, you've got to make sure you're cultivating compassion. Then you have to make sure you're mastering the power of no, because things are going to pop up all the time. Then the reality is we've got to get to a point where we're calendaring with intention so that every hour, every minute on our calendar means something that's going to serve you and others. And then you've got to be really careful about protecting your priorities. Do you see, I do not sell Marie's offer, but do you see how easy it was for me to articulate that in a way that like people hear it? Okay, so next you're going to see the GPT is like, okay, I like it. Would you like me to help you create the cinder blocks? So remember, when we look at the cinder blocks, these are the practices, the exercises, the things that you need to do in order to build that wall up brick by brick by brick. Now, what's really cool about this GPT is if you have a sales page, you could literally just throw the sales page copy right in the GPT and it will build out your cinder blocks for you. But what I like to do is to give the GPT a chance to give some ideas. So let's just try that first. So I'm just going to say, yes, please. So it's asking, would you like me to come up with some cinder blocks that fall under each of these pillars? And so we're going to say yes and just see what it gives us. And remember, when people are deciding what would it be like to work with Marie or with you, they want to understand, well, what am I gonna have to do? Because if we think in order to be self-compassionate and to get these results, Marie's gonna make me have to learn to tap dance and I don't have time for tap dancing, I'm gonna say no. But if Marie's like, well, Jenna, all you need to do first off to cultivate self-compassion is first we've got to do the inner critic cleanse. We're going to spot and soften those self-judgment patterns so that you can stop doing those things and cut them off right away. Then what we're going to do is this exercise where we are doing micro moments of grace. We're going to build your daily habits of kindness towards yourself so that you can start giving yourself some love that it truly needs. And then next, what we're going to do is rewrite the productivity narrative. We're going to shift from I'm only valuable if I produce to I'm valuable because I exist. That one really just hit me in the gut, not gonna lie. I'm like actually gonna copy and paste that and probably need to read that one daily, right? But
yeah, that's really amazing that it came up with that.
It's crazy, right? But do you see like how, I mean, look, guys, we're doing 10 minutes here and it's already given Marie such beautiful verbiage, right? And it will go further, right? So of course now if Marie's like, well, Jenna, that's not really what I teach in that pillar. Well, maybe you want to, or maybe you take things and you just edit the names a little bit, whatever. We want the wording to be so obvious that they're like, oh, I understand just by reading it. But we also want it to be different enough that they don't think they could just go Google it. Right? Because then they don't need to purchase from you. So then we've got the next cinder block. You can see it's already started to create for you and it's mastering the power of no. So it's given you the empowerment framework, 3 types of no and when to use them, boundary scripts for bosses and coworkers, say no without the guilt or the awkwardness. Ooh, Lindsay, you might need that one. Say to your boss. The guilt detox, I also could use that one. Dismantle the emotional baggage that it takes saying no so hard. Marie! Gosh, I think everybody on this call might need to buy Marie's offer. So make sure you drop it in the chat, Marie. No snow audit, right? So do you guys just see this is so wild How simple. And so these become just the cinder blocks of, if Marie's like, okay, Jenna, we really need to start working on mastering the power of no. Well, I want to know what is involved with that. And so she's going to say, okay, Jenna, first, we're going to empower that no framework and we're going to teach you the 3 types of no's and when to use them. Then once you've mastered that, we're going to add the next brick. And that's the boundary scripts for bosses and coworkers because they're pushy and when you say no, you feel really crappy. So I'm going to teach you how to do it without guilt. Then what we're going to do, right? So we're just literally going up this and you can see, oh, I see my roof getting taller and taller by the minute. So then we go to the next. We've got our calendaring with intention. You can see here, it's given us some awesome cinder blocks as well. So we've got time blocking for energy, not just tasks. Love that. Also feel like maybe we want to quote some Taylor Swift in there, which is like, what does she say? My energy is expensive. It's not for everyone. Maybe you have a Taylor cinder block. I don't know, right? Your 3-hour rule, how to carve out non-negotiables each week. I mean, all of this is so, so cool, right? So very cool in terms of how we build this out. So we've got our cinder blocks. And again, the way we do this is we present the offer in a way that pre-sells it so we never have to get to the point of objection because they're like, oh, this makes perfect sense. This is what I need. I do believe that I'm capable of doing the work required to get the result for that price. That's the big piece of it. And then what it will spit out at the end is, a full recap. So I'm just going to say, yes, please give me the whole thing. And then what you can do is get into overcoming objections as well. But you're going to see here, it spits out the roof, which is the result. Empower corporate women to prioritize their well-being without guilt or burnout. The foundation, which is rooted in the belief of sustainable self-care, starts with internal permission, not just better time management. Love that. We've got our pillars here and our cinder blocks so that you're able to put it in your house and show it to people. And again, this is where when you're presenting, this is so easy to be like, well, look, Jenna, here's the reality. You're actually pretty self-compassionate, but the reality is you're still saying yes to everybody. So it doesn't matter how nice you are to yourself. You still overput your capacity. And Jenna, while you're actually really good at saying no, which is not true, you're not calendaring anything with intention. So the only time you get for yourself is when you sleep. And that's not good. You're going to have burnout, right? So you can show them this visual. So here's the thing. I tell this story all the time. I drive with my son every single day for an hour to school. It is a long commute, okay? Every single morning, I spend the entire hour trying to convince Anders to wear a sweatshirt to school. And every single morning, Anders is like, Mom, I'm not cold. Anders will never buy my sweater, even if my sweater is $1. Because he does not see value in something that he doesn't believe he has a problem in. And so what we want to do is, number one, we've got to first help the person understand, do you actually have a problem that I can solve, right? Because if we take them through and we start assessing all of this stuff and we realize, their pillars are actually pretty good, they will literally never buy your sweater. They don't need it, okay? So job one is to be like, look, if you want to be warm at school, you need this. Here is where you are now. Here is where you could be. And so then once we've got them to realize, oh yeah, I do have a problem. I am cold. And then we're like, would it be helpful if you wore a sweater? And they're like, yes. Here's where we go and we make the easiest offer. Okay, great. So you believe if you had a sweater or if you were able to be empowered to not have issues with saying no and all these things, would you be warmer? Is that something you'd like? And if Anders says yes, then I make him the offer and I say, great, you have 2 choices. You can either take everything I just told you. I can give you the thread, the yarn. I could tell you to go to the store and you could go make your own sweater and figure it out yourself. Or if you'd like, you could just grab my thing, my course, my coaching, my offer, my software, whatever it is that you sell, and I'll help you do it faster, better, easier with a proven framework. So it doesn't become about, do you want to buy my thing? It's just which one sounds better. You've already agreed you want what I have. The question is simply, do you want to take the time to figure it out or do you want to do it, right? So we're already building in the cost because we know this to be true. One of the big things with making offers when it comes to finances, we need them them to understand there is a cost either way. There's a cost to saying no, thank you, and there's a cost to saying yes, please, to your offer. If you have a problem and someone makes you an offer, there is a cost if you say no, and there is a cost if you say yes. I just want to make sure we're all like agreeing on that truth. If you have a problem, that's the only caveat, right? Okay, so there is a cost either way, right? And so we need to be able to articulate that so they realize, look, it is a cost, right? Exactly. And so our job is to help them understand, well, which cost is more? The, $1,000 to join my coaching? I don't even know what we're selling this architected offer thing for, $297 for our course in GPT. Which one costs you more? To go sit and figure this out, build your thing, try to do the whole thing, or have it spit it out for you. That's what you guys have to decide. And so again, step one is tell them this is what you need to get the result. This is where you are. These are all the things you need to do to get the result. And then the question is, do you want to figure it out on your own, or would you like to get the thing to do it faster, better, easier? Okay. Does that feel easier or harder? Okay. And I will tell you, like literally, I have done as a guest coach, I have come into 7-figure coaching programs. And I've done this exercise, actually done it with them. We've built out their entire offer, everything. And these people have been just in tears saying, how have I not had this way for the last 5 years of my business? It's crazy. Okay. Love it. Actually, no, I think that's a really great point, which I'll go through in just a second as well, Alex. Okay. So couple questions that have come up in the chat. And again, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, be sure to drop them. I will come back and answer. Now, one of the questions that Alex brought up in the chat is, what about when you make this offer and you get a sales objection? So the reality is, if you've gone through this whole thing of pre-selling, it's pretty easy to understand. There are going to be real life instances where people just do not have the money. And I'm not the coach that's going to go tell you to find a financing or whatever, but I'm going to say I didn't have the $20,000 that I invested in that coach. I figured it out because I believed with everything. He had the plan and I had the capability. So I'll leave it at that, right? But I will say this, if we've gone through this and they believe enough that you have the answer they need, it's not going to come down to a financial objection unless it's real. In other words, meaning it's real, like I don't have the actual dollars to pay you. But in this market, I just want to remind people, most of the time it's not even about the money, it's the mindset. I've bought all these other things from all these coaches and all these other service providers and it didn't work. So they're scared and you have to show them that they can do the work. So the reality is, if you have done the work to pre-sell by architecting your offer, showing them themselves doing the work, most of the time we don't get a financial objection. People just buy if they believe they have a problem and you have the answer. If we do get to a place of financial objection, we take them through our overcoming objections framework, which is very simple. We take them through a process where like, okay, we get it. Let's actually remove finance for just a minute because I don't want to sell you something if you don't believe it's actually the right choice for you. Now, here's the reality. If you are a 1 to 6, you do not believe that I have what you need. And I'm not going to sell to you and you're not going to buy it. It's the reality. Okay. If you are a 7 to 10, you believe that this is the answer. You just have some concerns. So what I will do is I say, okay, great. Let's take finances out of the picture 100%. Completely take it out of the picture. Okay. And so what I want you to kind of think about is, what do you think is missing in this offer that would get you from an 8.55 to a 10? What do you think you would need to see to make this be like, oh my God, this is the answer. It's exactly what I need. I feel like if I was able to articulate my offer, more people would see the value, more people would say yes. I think this is it. So what we did is we actually compiled all of these testimonials from all of our clients who have done this, who have been like shocked at their numbers and their sales and just their ease of being able to articulate. Would you like me to send it to you? And Calvin's like, oh yeah, that would be really helpful. I'd love to see other people who implemented it and it worked. And then I'd say, okay, Calvin, what else would you need to see? What would you need to see in this offer to go from an 8.55 to a 10, no brainer? And Calvin is like, oh, I would just need to talk to my spouse. Well, what do you need to talk to your spouse about? What are the specific questions so I can prepare you with that information? Oh, she's going to worry about XYZ. Great. I've got all of that information. I'm going to give it to you so you can give it to your spouse. What else, Calvin? What else? What else? What else? What else? We keep going until there's nothing else left, to where Calvin is like, this is stupid. This is a no-brainer. I need this right now, right? And so then once we've got Calvin to like a 10, no, I believe if I architected my offer, I would make way more in return than the 297 to get the course. Like we'll just pretend that, right? So then we're like, okay, well, Calvin, it's built for you. It's a 10. It includes everything your heart could dream of, right? What do you want to do? Right? And so again, it comes down to just removing the finance from the thing. And if you can get them to a 10 where they believe with everything in their body and their soul that this is what they need, they will buy it. And I can say, I love this because Calvin even said, oh, if I didn't just drop 4K on a coaching this week, if I was really trying to sell to Calvin, I'd be like, well, did they include this in your offer? Because if they didn't, you're still going to have a problem that you cannot articulate your offer. So you can get all the sales systems, all the things, but if your offer, guys, watch this. Wait, watch this. This is going to be so fun. Calvin, look at this. If I was like really trying to sell Calvin, I'd be like, hey, Calvin, that is super, super cool, right? You just spent $4,000 and they are probably going to teach you how to get more leads and to nurture them and convert them and da 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 da, right? But Calvin, I'm going to just ask you really quickly, does it include architecting your offer in this fashion? Because if not, look at like this is where we are. If you don't have a
No, Jenna, stop it. It does.
Calvin, if you don't have your architected offer, all of this goes over here. It falls like we can't even see your house at this point, Calvin. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not actually trying to like go hard on Calvin, but what an example you've given me. Because look, here's the reality. Do you see how easy it is for me to overcome that objection to be like, cool, Calvin, you bought a program, it's going to teach you all these things, but your offer, if it's not dialed in, none of it's going to matter. It's all going to fall through the floor. So like this visual is the visual that gives and gives and gives. Like it's unbelievable. Okay, so that is literally how it works. Hopefully, Alex, that's a little bit helpful to see it in action because it's just so easy to articulate this way. Okay, so Calvin said, Jenna, stop, it's kind of working. I love it. Hey, Calvin, just gonna tell you, this is a discounted version. Lindsay forgot to fix, well, not forgot. We have stuff going on, and so she gave me an old funnel instead of the new one. So this is the discounted price, just gonna put that there. But anyways, here is the question to you guys. Is this helpful? Do you think even if you take it on your own, right? Again, like you could take our GPT, you can have it built for you in less than 10 minutes and you can have the course, you can have all the things. There's a lot more in the course that it goes through, but the reality is if you don't articulate your offer in a way that number one, you can speak it with the simplest words so that a first grader is like, oh, that's what you do? Amazing. You won't get sales. If you don't know how to articulate what it looks like for them to do the work required to get the results, they will not trust you to get them there and they will not trust themselves to do the work and they will not buy. And then if we don't know how to make the offer and overcome the objections that start to happen, the financial objections are going to keep throwing. And this is the reality. I am just telling you in this market, the no's are coming in hot and fast. And everybody at the beginning of the call were like, oh my God, yes, 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 yes. And so whether you take our architected offer with what we do or you do it on your own, I don't care. My goal for you to come to this call is to see the vision and to go get your offer dialed in so that you can present it in a very concise way and actually make sales. Okay. All right, guys, I am done. Thank you so much for joining. We dropped the link if anybody wants to grab it at the current price. Next time you see it, it will be at a different one. If you have any questions, we're going to have this inside of our Facebook group. So please make sure you ask your questions there. We're happy to give you info. Thank you so much for coming. And we hope you get your offer architected so we get tons of yeses and lots of money coming your way. We'll see y'all next week with another training.